Hello everybody, welcome to the assembly for this week. The theme of the week is knowing right from wrong. I want you to stop and think for a moment, take a deep breath. Think about what is right, what is wrong. How do you know that? What does it mean? I'm in a position where I've got a 4.5-year-old boy at home, and I am feeling like I'm teaching him every single day with every single activity that we do, every conversation that we have, every time we play, every time we eat together, every time we talk, every time we go for a walk. I feel like there is some moral message that I need to tell him. And I feel that when I'm walking around this school as well. Sometimes it's pointing out that a shirt's untucked, because we know the right way to wear our uniform is by tucking it in. Sometimes if a top button's undone, we're pointing that out. And the longer you're at this school, the more you know our expectations. And that is you learning the difference between right and wrong. And sometimes you might think, oh, why am I doing that? And sometimes we'll explain it to you, sometimes we might not. So for example, the tucking the shirt in, well, that's quite an easy one, because as soon as you go out and get a job, that won't be allowed. And we wouldn't want you to be getting in trouble when you go out and get a job and maybe even lose your job because you look scruffy or because you're not meeting the expectations of your boss, your employer. So we feel it's our job to guide you, like your parents and your guardians and the rest of your family do, along your journey of knowing what is right and what is wrong. So my son, as I said, he's 4.5, he's going to primary school in September. And when he gets to primary school, it will be the job of those teachers in that school to help guide my son along his journey. So I want you to think of us, your teachers, as effectively your parents and guardians in school, guiding you along your own individual journey. Now, I'd be lying if I said my son always got it right, because he does make lots and lots of mistakes. But I also put that down to the fact that he's still learning. I welcome some of you onto the gate this morning when you arrived for the start of school. And sometimes even a look is enough to make you pull your hands out of your pockets, do your top button up, or just do the right thing. I wonder whether any of you have got this little voice inside your head. I know I've got one. Quite often my little voice goes off when I walk past a piece of rubbish, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Quite often my little voice goes off when I see something that I don't like or something that I disagree with. And it's because there's a strong moral compass built into me which guides me based on the way that I was brought up by my parents, my family, and by my teachers. When a lot of people grow up, they talk about people that have influenced them in their lives, people that have made a difference, maybe people that have made them the way they are today. And quite often, adults will talk about teachers, because teachers are the ones that helped guide them maybe the most. I wonder sometimes if you can think about something you've done that you know deep down was wrong, and maybe the effect it had. My mum used to say to me, think before you speak. And I have learnt, I might not always get it right, but I've definitely learnt over the years that that has its benefits. And one of the main benefits is that you don't hurt someone in the process. I want you to think about justice, whether something is fair. That's quite a hard one sometimes, I think, for some of you to get your head around. It might be a case of, oh, you're picking on me, or that's not fair. Well, I can tell you 101 things that I don't sometimes think are fair, but I also know whether they are right or whether they are wrong. And that's what I want you to be thinking about today, that we might not like the right decision sometimes, but deep down, it is the right one. Think of a time that you've been told that you've done something wrong or you've said something wrong. I bet you've learnt from it. I bet you've thought twice about then doing it again. And that is the difference, I think, between knowing right and wrong. And don't think for a second that you're supposed to always get it right. Life is all about making mistakes. We say the same in our lessons, with our learning. We need to make mistakes sometimes to get better, to improve, to be a better human. At Chertsey High School, we are pretty uncompromising, I think you'd agree. We don't accept anything than the absolute best that you can give, whether that's in the classroom or outside of the classroom. Our expectations and our standards are ridiculously high, and we do not apologise for that. But I personally think, having been part of this school since the very first day, that makes it a nicer place to be. Now, most of you don't have any experience of any other secondary schools. Some of you do. So maybe chat to someone that you know joined Chertsey High School during the year or last year and see how it compares to their old school. And I reckon we're well up there, certainly in terms of our standards and what we expect. Everything we do at Chertsey High School is underpinned by our KDL values, our knowledge, determination and love. Right and wrong with knowledge, well, that's fairly obvious, isn't it? We're still learning in the classroom. Determination, we learn that we do not give up. We don't get anywhere if we give up, but we definitely get somewhere if we keep trying. And that love, looking after each other, respecting each other, finding time for each other, that is where knowing right from wrong really comes in to play. Making the right choices for those in our lives, those that are closest to us and those that will be there when we need them. We are a family at Chertsey High School. We are one. We might be hugely different, but we must respect each other and look after each other. And we will continue to guide you along that journey. Now, litter. This is something that I've almost become famous for, which upsets me slightly, I suppose, because I would like it to be that something we're all known for, something that we all think about. And it's coming back to this idea of respecting and loving and knowing the difference between right and wrong. I looked up earlier how much a fine would be for someone that litters in the UK. And it can be between £60,000 and £2,500. So I thought, what a great idea. We could introduce a fine system at Chertsey High School, just so you could get ready for what life is like when you leave us at the age of 16. So maybe from tomorrow, we could have £60 fines or £100 fines, depending on what size piece of rubbish is dropped. And I was wondering then what we could do with that money. We could pay for Mr. Howell, Mrs. Munich, maybe your head of year, to all go on holiday. And I thought, no, that's not the right thing. Maybe we donate it to charity. There we go. That's a good idea. That would be the right thing to do. So I think you probably agree that maybe we shouldn't be fining students in school, but we would definitely be sanctioning students that we see littering. And if I need to check CCTV cameras to see who's done it and they get a week's worth of detentions or a week's worth of litter picking, then so be it. Because quite rightly, you have a consequence to those actions. And I'm smiling about this while I talk about it because I know deep down none of you want to be litter bugs. None of you want to make this school dirty. So I'm thinking maybe it's just an accident when it happens. But I find it also hard to believe that when I walk out onto that playground and onto the Muga, that 50 pieces of litter is an accident. So I want you to think really, really carefully about the respecting of your community and respecting of the place that you are spending 5 years of your life. And I often say to students, you want to be known for the student that goes to that dirty school down the road. Whether you enjoy school or not, I would urge you to be proud of your school and proud of the part that you play in building it. We have such a privileged chance now to build an amazing reputation for this school. And we're in a pretty good place, but we've still got a long way to go on our journey, and you are all part of it. So please help. Use the bins, look after the environment, create a safe and clean space for everyone. The final part of this assembly is your safeguarding bulletin, and I'm going to talk briefly today about bullying. Bullying is a phrase you've probably heard since you were at nursery or primary school, and essentially bullying is a repeated behaviour that hurts someone, whether that's spreading rumours or calling someone names or doing something physical. It's something that goes on over a period of time. So if it happens once, we would at Chertsey High School label that as unkindness, or something physical or something verbal. It's generally unkind. And that of course is not okay. But if that builds, that becomes even worse. And that's when we call it bullying. And I don't know if you know, but bullying and cyberbullying that's done online are criminal offences. When our police community officer comes into school, she talks about how you are breaking the law if you do this. But not only are you breaking the law, you are, if I just move on to my next slide, we're talking about the effects of bullying. You are damaging someone else and damaging them in a way that can go on for the rest of their lives, affecting their mental health. That one unkind word can chip away at someone's heart and someone's soul. And it can be so destructive. So what I'm asking you to do today is keep an eye out for it. Make sure it's not happening here. And if it is, make sure you do something about it, even if that's just telling a member of staff. If I go back to the signs of bullying, we can see quite often people that change the way they're feeling or the way they're acting, the way they're behaving. So if your friend's suddenly gone very quiet, or maybe is obviously crying in the corner, something's wrong, or do something. Or if you walk past someone that you don't really know, but they don't look right, stop and ask if they're okay. Remember, we are a family here. We look out for each other. We love each other. We care for each other, and we want each other to thrive in life, not to suffer. So the effects can be, as I said, very damaging and very far-reaching. People that are bullied are sometimes being bullied by someone that's been bullied themselves. The bullied becomes the bully. And now I'm sure many psychologists out there would try and understand and explain why that happens. But I reckon it's something to do with the fact that maybe it makes them feel better, even momentarily. But deep down, do you really want to be a bully? Is that the right thing to do? So I want you to think about kindness. Kindness costs nothing. It's the easiest thing you can do. It takes a real effort to be unkind and to do the wrong thing. So look out for people, please. And people you can talk to, your tutors, your heads of years, your teachers. We've got our drop boxes in the canteen and outside the lighthouse where you can drop a note in if you've got any concerns. You can talk to family, parents, guardians, grandparents, aunties, uncles, whoever. Your next door neighbour if you get on well with them. You can talk to Childline. There are details on the internet for Childline, a phone number, which is also on the screen if you wanted to write it down in your diaries, and also online chat. Please also come to me. I am the designated safeguarding lead for this school, and out of all the members of staff, I have responsibility to make sure that you are safe on a day-to-day basis. So from a bullying perspective, I am very much here to make sure that you are as safe as possible. The theme of the week was knowing right from wrong. And this isn't a theme I want you just to think about this week. It's a theme I want you to think about for the rest of your lives. Remember, it's not easy to always do the right thing, but deep down, if you know it's the right thing, then go for it. It will pay off in the long run. Have a brilliant week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.